Morning, folks. Happy holidays, season's greetings. Or if you want to get technical about it, Merry Christmas. And if you keep expecting me to do the bah humbug routine on you, sorry, I kicked Scrooge and Grinch outside the door. Let them freeze their little butts off. It's 25 degrees outside anyway. And this is the West Coast. This is the Antelope Valley. So on winter mornings, we get to freeze our little tokuses off. Not to mention dealing with cold, biting things that people don't like to deal with in the mornings. You have to have a hot drink to wake up. For those who've actually got a roof over their head, anyway. The hardest thing in seasons like this is to think about those less than fortunate to you. In seasons like this, I discovered as I got older and older, I would reflect more and more back of what the things I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for memory, and I'm present of waking up in the morning, even though I might have at least 2 hours of sleep, 2 or 3 hours of sleep. At least be able to barely function enough to get the coffee maker going to get some hot drink. Hot cocoa and hot coffee mixed together. My own mocha. I suppose in a somber, philosophical way, I'm supposed to go back in time and regale people of how things used to be. Sherman, set the Wayback Machine for so many years ago.
Okay, Mr. Peabody.
Oh, yes, back then. Growing up as a kid. Mechanical toys we had. We had the bikes. We had the trikes. We had the big wheels. We had the Lincoln Logs. We had the Legos. We had the Tinker Toys. We had the Etch-a-Sketches. We had the construction sets, science sets. We had action figures. We had play sets. We go out and scream and yell our heads off around 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. We haven't even had breakfast yet. We're earning enough. But this morning, you wake up and you're an adult instead of thinking about the childhood. And then you're wondering where your damn pot of coffee is. The older you got, you kept thinking, I'll just take my time. Unless, of course, somebody actually had kids. Then it's a different story altogether. For me, getting older as an adult with my family before they passed, no, I am not crying over this one here. I had promised my mother that I would not do this, and I will not do this. Because, quite frankly, if I happen to do this to myself, I ruin the spirit of Christmas. I may not have packages under the tree that's been wrapped up. I've got memories and feelings, and I've got the current present to look forward to. I'm not looking at the stuff regarding Scrooges and Grinches at this point. We've already been dealing with that this year, haven't we? Now, if we're going to be doing this the Wayback Machine at this point, I'll be here. The action figures, the small ones to the large, fully articulated bodies that were hooked together with magic and wiring and rubber and plastic and metal. Rubber heads. It just squish sometimes. sometimes you had to be careful of the lead paint on the damn face. I used one on the rubbers anyway. Big, huge lumbering sets to play around with. Not to mention the trash and the boxes to deal with. Oh, yeah. Whose job and responsibility was that when you got older? Trash detail. Of course, by then I also had to make sure that we actually had coffee set up for Mama. We got older as teenagers. My brother was already an adult. I was a teenager. And we waited for Mama. Okay. We waited for my Mama to wake up. And we'd get it started about 8 or 9 o'clock sometimes. When I was a lot earlier as a kid, it would have been about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, saying, Santa came, and go crazy. Driving Mom nuts. Ma can't do anything until she's got her coffee. And after we get the Christmas packages unwrapped and destroyed, then it was time to get the family breakfast, whatever we had on the file. There was no set menu for this. We got older, and we had to have Christmas ham, with potato salad. I miss those days. I miss those days because people can actually afford to cook their hams in the ovens and have them working. Me, I still got an oven that's still out of commission. But it doesn't mean I can't do anything about it. Things on the stove, though. So we would have whatever meals we would have. We never did go out to restaurants for Christmas meals. We went to relatives' house for meals. They would be doing all the cooking. Their ovens were working. Turkeys or hams or whatever they would fix. Now, where did you ever figure that somebody would be doing a barbecue of hamburgers or hot dogs or anything else like that? What, are you kidding me? This is Christmas. I know. What the hell? And then thinking about that, I miss days like those. I miss days of yore and lore. I do. I do. What else did we have? Oh, besides the dogs going in and out of the tree and knocking down the ornaments left and right. We had to be careful about that one, too. When I was a teenager going through junior high and high school, things had gotten tighter, things had gotten crazier. And they were trying to make it as memorable Christmases as we could. It was hard as hell to deal with a grandmother still in bed with a stroke, and Mama still waking up, still needing to get her coffee. I guess I was going till about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. And I remember the days before Christmas. Christmas tree after Thanksgiving had to be put up. It had to be decorated. And it became my job of decorating a huge 6-foot white monstrosity put together, except for the stand, except to spread out the branches left and right and then get the thing decorated. God, what a nightmare in Elm Street. Ma would be getting on my case for this one. She would. But in the morning, we would have the tree up. We would have the presents underneath. We had to have them wrapped. We had to have them put under the Christmas tree so they'd be ready for the morning. The thing is, we didn't take pictures during that time. I wish we had taken pictures of what the places looked like. but they were kind of hard times. Then they got maybe a little easier. I like the times when I was a younger kid, living in the house of Wingo back in Arleta. Ranch house of sorts, 5 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 1 den, 1 living room. The living room would have the Christmas tree already up, presents already up there. We would have to have our elderly ladies, Grandma and Aunt May, situated where they're watching. An overly anxious kid just waiting to dive underneath the tree. My brother trying to hold me back sometimes. And I remember even a year earlier than that when we actually had a different house in North Hollywood. Even the younger version of me still had to hold myself back because Ma needed to get herself situated with coffee to wake up. Speaking of which, more coffee. My own Christmas present to myself is Christmas drink. Nestle's hot chocolate mix and regular coffee. Sometimes you need to pick me up. Because if you didn't have to pick me up, I don't know what the heck happened to you in the first place. But it's still needed these days, more often than not. And I would remember these things. The house in Colette that I used to live on, Colette and Blackhawk Corner, I didn't even remember what the Christmas was like. I had to go through the pictures on this. I had to go through the pictures of how things were. Because quite honestly, I didn't remember what the tree looked like. I didn't remember where we had the thing placed yet. But I do remember that Ma had to have her coffee during that time. And Christmas would not be officially started unless Ma was sitting down and having her coffee. So we had to have the coffee about 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm a teenager during that time. Dave's already a young adult at this point over here. He's already been out of the military. And there had been a time when I actually started working over at Circuit City. Got a discount, and he had this big, mystical, magical item called a microwave oven for my mother. Me and my brother both did it, and we wrapped this sucker up. Big, huge box. Big and huge. With this big, huge box, it was a hell of a wrapping job, I'll tell you. 2 or 3 rolls of wrapping, baby. And a huge box with a smaller item inside, but still. And we had this hidden in plain sight right behind the couch. How could she not miss this big, huge, wrapped thing? She wasn't even paying attention to it in the morning until she had her coffee. The Christmas tree we would have on the house in Colette. I mean, you'd go through the front door. There was hallways. And then you had the living room, and then you had the dining room. The dining room is where we had the Christmas tree at. All the little stuff was right over there. And we had it right by the window. Only places we could put it in. We didn't have any fireplaces or hearth. But we decorated as best we could. I really got to put out a holiday video of all the old videos I've got. I mean, all the old pictures I can dig out and just redo it all. And the pictures are well worth it. The music should have been better. What I remember is Ma's looking at the collateral damage round, boxes, inner linings of the boxes, especially when you have clothes. Big, huge boxes, and you had tissue wrappers around the clothes. Of course, when you go to, when you get those kind of boxes, you had people to decorate those things for them, wrap them up for you. They're always coming in tissue boxes. Never understood that portion there. Why tissue? Anyway, after she sealed the collateral damage we had, me collecting a hell of a lot of books and stuff. And I remember Dave and I looking at each other, holding back grins. Ma's seeing the face saying, "What? You sure you opened up every package? What else is there underneath there?" I mean, I guess we dragged everything else out. Are you sure about that, Mom? Is that everything, John? Yeah, I mean, I dug everything else. You sure that's it? Yeah, positive. You sure there wasn't one more gift for Mama? All right, you guys, what's going on? Ma, there should have been one more gift under here. David, I thought, you heard Santa Claus going through. I heard him too, but, there should have been one more gift. We heard him rustling in here. All right, you guys, what are you doing? Hey, Dave, what's behind the couch over there? Where? Right behind the couch. What is that? Ma, when you want to turn around there? Ma turns around, sees his big box. All right, guys, what's going on? What are you guys up to? Not me. It wasn't me. Did you put that there? No, I didn't put that over there. Yeah, oh, get it out of here, guys. All right, we're getting it out of here, Ma. I take one side. Both took a side. We lifted the siege box up. Oh my God! What the heck is that? All right, you guys. She's noticing we're trying to hold in our grins. She knows us. She knew we were trying to pull a fast one on her. She didn't realize this one. Ma, there's a guy on top of it. I think it's for you. It can't be for me. I think it's for you. And she's looking at the handwriting. All right, which one of you boys did it? This isn't your handwriting. This is your handwriting. Whose handwriting is that? It says Santa on it. Well, it must be Santa, Ma. It must be from Santa Claus. She's giving us a little glare at this point over here. She's going to figure out what the thing is. And then she opens up the package. And she opens up the box that was hiding the package. And she wigged. Now, since they came out with the idea of having a microwave oven for years, she always kept telling us she wanted to get a microwave oven. She sees this and she has a heart attack. Oh my God, my brother and I are laughing our asses off over here. She's screaming her head off. And she's looking at me. I'm going, what? I didn't do anything. How we got the microwave oven is I worked over at Circuit City at the time. This is back in 87, 88 area. I had just started working at that company in September of 1987. Walked all the way down to the store, walked all the way back. And yes, we did have cars to drive during that time. And my brother and I had luck. I had luck when I was working over at Circuit City to see what I could get. I mean, I had a limited employee discount until the regular one kicked in. And I figured around Christmas time would be the time for it. We had to find a place somewhere to hide this monster until it was time to get it picked up. Found one particular microwave we thought it was good. One with the keypads on it. And she got this one. But I know there was two microwaves I got from the store I worked at within the 4-year period. A big one and also a smaller one. And I think it was the smaller one that got her. The larger one we got a little bit later on. And she got her microwave. I think it was the smaller Portland model, white. Knobs for cooking. The later one we got was a bigger one that actually had push buttons on it. Well, the electronics gave out finally on those things a long time ago. You know, electronics die like that. But the face on her, I think it was the Portland one we gave her. It was the Portland one I picked up. Warranty on it, it works. Somebody had a pretty good, decent spiff on it. Bonuses. And we used the thing for 3 or 4 decades before it gave out. But that one particular Christmas of '87, I freaked her out like crazy, and Dave and I got her one. The Christmas back in '88, we moved from Colette all the way over to Whitaker, right closer to the place I used to work at, Circuit City. And we would have the Christmas tree out there. And I believe one of the Christmas gifts my mother got was a 2-tape set of The Sound of Music. She loved watching that every year. She loved watching that show every year. The perennial that kept coming out, so it was as bad as when you keep seeing Ben-Hur and you keep seeing the Ten Commandments or Spartacus. Somehow you just have to see these blockbusters. Well, the blockbuster in our family was Sound of Music. Every Christmas, we had to be watching Sound of Music. All the time. How to drive you crazy with the music and how to drive you crazy with everything else on it. The memories we would have of those. Getting on in years, we would not do the 7 or 8 o'clock, but rather a little bit later. I think in the last 15 years, we never did quite have Christmases at 7 o'clock in the morning. We got about 10 or 11 o'clock as soon as we had our coffee, as soon as we had breakfast, and then we get to it. I always got stuck doing the tree, though, for past 40 years. Past 40 years, it was my job to decorate the tree all the time. But we had to do the presents during that time. A younger kid, you expect it to be done about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. You get older, and it really didn't bother you as much at what time of the day. Except Ma wanted the presents opened on Christmas Day, not the day afterwards, or not the day before. Now, we all heard about there's been traditions that some families actually have of opening presents up on Christmas Eve. we held the thing concerning about Christmas Day. Christmas Day is when you do the presents. That's how it always was. That's how it always should have been. And yes, I miss those days. Now they're out. The neighbors. A rare thing I'm going to be doing on camera. Getting up, opening up the windows just to see what's going on. So, I'm going to keep the video rolling. As I have the Bluetooth going up right now. I got to see what's going on outside. It's getting sunnier out there and it's getting a little warmer, but it's still got a touch of burr to it. So, I need to get some sunlight in this apartment. Here we go. That's better. Way better. Natural filtered light coming through the morning hours of the morning sun. And how I used to watch the movies during Christmas Eve. Christmas Day is a different story altogether. I suppose a little bit later today I'll be listening to Sound of Music, just to keep up with Mama's tradition. My brother and I didn't exactly have a tradition. As soon as we lost her in back to 2013, everything else fell flat. The last few years of my mother's life, when she was still around, we didn't get ourselves well motivated for opening up Christmas presents during that time until about in the afternoon or evening sometimes, or maybe late in the morning. We always had to make sure that Mom was awake and if she was able to get out of the bed and in a wheelchair to enjoy Christmas holiday, fine. But later on, we had to bring the presents to her bed in the bedroom. We almost had a Christmas where she stayed time in the hospital. And it was kind of hard during that time, too. It was shortly before her passing. Going through the memoirs, as I did, I went through a lot of pain, a lot of grief, a lot of anger, a lot of confusion. And during the holiday season, it taints the holiday and makes it feel less joyful, less meaningful. There had been a video I did out there regarding this that had a shelve. It's out there, but not viewable just yet for public. Until I really decided to get it out there in the first place. Because videos like that are just too painful to do and too painful to watch. When you're doing videos during the holiday season, you want to keep it nice, joyful, and boisterous and stuff like that. Why? It's expected because that's the holiday season, not miserably depressing. But I guess some of those videos I'll have to put for public viewing one of these year millenniums or just for private viewing. But yes, to put it into a perspective, an emotional perspective, as it is. The last 10 years, almost 10 years, seeing my mother's condition getting worse and worse and then passing away. It made the holiday season even harder and harder to enjoy. Dave and I did 2013 as best as we could. Mom did pass away in February 19th, 2013. And we got evicted. An apartment we used to live in for 5 years, taking care of her as her health deteriorated. And then we lived in a trailer home. and the little town of Rosemont, which I'm still stuck in. And in the trailer home, we decorated the trailer inside and outside as best as we could. And we put up the lights, we put up the decorations we actually carried with us. When we went through evictions a year and a half later, we got rid of the stuff. Tragedy. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good memories in each ornament. Which probably would make a holiday season the most depressing season of all. Because of the things that we just couldn't put back under the Christmas tree. That were old and sentimental and full of value to us. Even to me, to this day. I haven't had my OJ. Had to have the mouth watered a bit. And no, I don't feel like I'm going to be hitting the tissues just yet. I've hit all the damn keywords necessary, all the triggers to produce how much I miss my family. Yes, I do miss my family. I miss the things that have happened prior. A lot of things I've gone through. And it makes one person sanguine enough to feel, God, depressed as hell. Come on, we've all felt that way. We've all been that way. Some of us are actually going through that same thing. Believe me, I know it. I really do. Out there, in the sunlight, is where we're feeling the things happening. Where we're feeling things that are supposed to be happening and ongoing. Now, I miss the Christmas traditions of having presents wrapped up. I miss having destroyed packages about. I'm getting a garbage bag of tossing all the wrapping paper into the damn thing and then hauling it over to the garbage can. It's a lot of wrapping. And the thing of it is, I miss all those traditions. Middle of the night, or actually maybe a few nights earlier, when you've actually got the stuff wrapped up, bowed up, tied up, and hidden. And you're like, we're going to get it, we're going to get it, we're going to get it. That was the thing I enjoyed about Christmas the most, is the anticipation of waiting to see the recipient's face of what you're going to do. Especially when it's your mother or your brother and you've got some trick gifts with them. Or should I say trick wrapping. Small items, but in larger packages. Find big boxes or tubes or whatever. You kind of condense everything until you have your small item right here. You waste a lot of wrapping paper to get to that point. That's what makes it so fun. Because after you get to that point, you've already got a small item here, but you had to build and build and build. Put this huge box underneath there, just for a small item. My brother and I did that to us several Christmases to each other. We had to. It was a tradition we created ourselves. And we had to hold off on the Christmas spending in the last 20 years before my brother passed and before Mom passed. We had to hold off on it because we wanted to save money for New Year's. New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. During that time when Dave and I could actually blow off some steam as adults, we would probably go out to town somewhere. and strut down the sidewalk over there. Maybe go into a movie theater and watch a movie. Have our popcorn ready. Because as soon as midnight rolls around, popcorn goes crazy. Either the people were recipient to it and go, Happy New Year, or else they're giving you the old evil glare saying, we're going to kick your ass afterwards. We did that only once or twice. But at this point, all they are is just good memories and bad memories. I would probably think to myself, as I'm looking at my apartment, decorated just for this day, why do this? I do it for them. I do it for the people who have already gone. I do it for myself. Besides telling myself that it's all right to feel the holiday joy of the season, and I know I can get maudlin during this time. But it's also kind of comforting, especially when I leave up the Christmas lights and feel the ambiance. I may take down some of the stuff I've got here. But for today, Christmas, it stays up. We all have our family traditions. We all have our ways of trying to celebrate the holiday. Let us hope and pray that we make the best of this year's holiday. And I hope that next year's holiday will be grander and more sweeter and more satisfying than this one. So, for me and my family, my family's families, to your families, have a Merry Christmas today, if you can. But be warned, in a week, we're going to do something about New Year's. We got to ring in 2021 right. So,